One thing I value a lot is objectivity. I try to look at this game from a neutral perspective and to not take one side of the argument every single time, no matter what. And I think with Ashes of Creation, just like with a lot of things in this day and age, people tend to have an all or nothing approach. People treat MMOs like they would their favorite sports teams. Once they find one they prefer, they defend that game, even when the developers do things that are indefensible. That isn't my approach. I have and will continue to criticize Intrepid when it's appropriate, in a reasonable manner, of course. I am never going to go full Jilan and personally attack members of Intrepid and call for them to be fired. But I will call out things that I think need calling out. And there was a lot of outrage over the Alpha 2 roadmap, and I think some of it is justified. First, you have the idea of Alpha 2 being persistent, meaning servers would be up more times than not. Sure, there would be downtime, but not the kind of downtime they are talking about. I've heard some people say very loudly, which, of course, remember, if you say it loudly, that makes it true, that Intrepid was clear that Alpha 2 would not be persistent. Or I heard the argument that a weekend spot test every weekend is persistent. So I decided to do some research. Has Intrepid been clear on the definition of persistent? Because I guess Intrepid now is Merriam-Webster and gets to set their own definitions for things. And honestly, I couldn't find much. One of the tools I always use is a website called Video Mentions, and I really couldn't find a lot that fully outlined persistence. However, I did catch some wording changes between July 2022, when Margaret clearly said Alpha 2 is the start of our persistent world where the servers will be up day and night with some downtime for patches.
Alpha 2 is kind of like the start of our persistent world where the servers will be up day and night until.
And the other thing is that
until we go to launch, but we'll have some downtimes in between for patches and stuff, right?
And consider that at that time, this was on the heel of the ending of Alpha 1 testing, which was a month-long persistent test with the servers up 24/7 except for maintenance periods. So I think people having in their mind that the Alpha 2 test would be very similar to that is 100% fair. And that's the definition I had in my mind. However, in fairness, I kept digging and I found this.
I think there were some questions that people had. I think we clarified the first bit of it. And then the second bit of it was the persistency of Alpha 2 and what that looks like. I think some people think persistence means 24/7 up forever.
Yeah, there will absolutely be downtimes 100%, right? Again, this is a testing bed. And when those downtimes need to happen or those wipes need to occur, we are going to do what's best for the product, not for the experience in Alpha 2. And that's a very clear distinguishment between what to expect when we launch the game, which is all about the player experience, versus the development process that is Alpha 2. So it's very important to understand that dichotomy.
So I guess if you read between the lines a bit, maybe it seems like they were moving more towards the model that we currently see, but I want to be clear. This was snuck in at the very end of a 2-hour-long live stream. And if you listen to that and think that this is proof that Alpha 2 is going to be weekend spot tests, I think that's a stretch. And I really couldn't find a lot of other times that they talked about this. I think with the way Alpha 1 ran, and with how they advertised Alpha 2 from 2022 and earlier, having the idea that Alpha 2 servers would be up a lot more than they are down is 100% fair and correct. Using mental gymnastics to suggest otherwise, I think, is just a little bit disingenuous. That being said, could all of this drama have been avoided if Intrepid simply said we are delaying the start of Alpha 2 until May of next year, but we will have some Alpha 2 preview weekends leading up to that? I think so. Yes, people would be mad at a delay, but would people be this mad? I don't think so. The next thing I really do question is the money motive. The narrative during the roadmap was that they needed more testers, which is a weird narrative to me considering Steven has claimed they have over 100,000 Alpha 2 testers for years. How do you know you need more testers until you let the Alpha 2 testers in? To me, I think they just need more money. I did a video trying to really deep dive the financial situation of Intrepid Studios in February of 2023. This was after Intrepid claimed to have over 100,000 Alpha 2 testers, which meant they raised over $25 million just from Alpha 2 pack sales. When you start to add everything up, including the $45 million that Steven has invested, the total funding for this project I estimated to be anywhere from $80 to $120 million at that time. And some people took that as this project is clearly fully funded. However, basic accounting does require us to look at the second half of the ledger, the expenses side. And so I attempted to add up the salary cost and the studio cost for this game and came to the conclusion that their total expenses might actually start to exceed their total funding sometime in 2024. Now, keep in mind, this was extremely rough math using incomplete information, but I do really question how much of this is just Intrepid needs more money, because the we need more testers argument doesn't make any sense before you've even let all the testers in. So then the narrative shifted, and now it is to offset server costs when Steven did his clarification post on Reddit after the roadmap livestream. Which, okay, that makes more sense, but I still really question how this project is doing financially, because I think they realize they can sell more packs now while hype is still alive. Once the NDA drops, hype could plummet again, just as it did after the Alpha 1 NDA dropped. And with hype plummeting, so would pack sales. Then they create artificial scarcity when they say we might turn off pack sales. On the money aspect, I've said it time and time again, I think the biggest potential issue is the absolutely gigantic scope of this project. This MMO could realistically be a $300 million project when it's all said and done, with the scope of this project and inflation all factored in. And will Intrepid be able to raise that much money? Will they have to get some private investors? Will they have to sign with a publisher for more funding? Or does Steven have enough money to fund this thing to completion? That's always been the narrative, but will that narrative hold up when we hit 10 plus years of development, which we are confirmed to be hitting with Phase 3 being a minimum of 1 year long? I also want to know what happened between Alpha 1 and Alpha 2. In some respects, Alpha 1 had more content. There were 9 Stage 3 nodes in Alpha 1. There are 5 Stage 3 nodes in Alpha 2. There were over 100 quests in Alpha 1. Alpha 2 has around 150 quests and commissions combined during Phase 1. Granted, overall, if you compare Phase 1 to Alpha 1, there is a lot more content planned. But I do think there was a huge reset after Alpha 1. What's the reason for the reset? Did they find some major flaws that caused them to have to reset? Did the UE5 upgrade force them to reset? I think these are fair questions, and to be fair, as a private company, Intrepid does not have to disclose these things. And I want to be clear, I'm not attacking Intrepid. Intrepid constantly asks for feedback, and I'm just giving that feedback. I think I'm being 100% respectful in how I give that feedback. If I'm not, please point out how I am not so I can improve. I absolutely love the idea of this project. I'm as committed to this project as anyone could be. I have 157 videos in my Ashes of Creation playlist. For the last 2 years, I've created very long videos that go over every single detail of this game. I have a guild in which I've put a tremendous amount of effort into building up. So this video is not coming from a place of blind hatred. It's coming from trying to help Steven improve some of the communication aspects. Because the question lately has been, does Intrepid have a communication problem? And I think they do. Do I think it is a dire situation and all hope is lost? Of course not. But I do think constructive criticism is warranted, and that's what I am providing here. This project has had a lot of drama over the years, and to be fair, the drama only exists because of the crowdfunding combined with the open development. I really hope we can someday get to a point where the really fun and juicy drama starts, and that is the inner guild drama when this game finally launches. But guys, that's a very long ways down the road. And I want to reiterate again, I'm not attacking Intrepid or hating on Steven. I love his vision for this project. I'm just providing feedback. I will continue to do so from as much of an unbiased perspective as I possibly can. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.